If you're looking for a tool to boost your productivity in 2023, you've arrived at the right video. My name is Lucas, and I've spent the past 2 years researching, testing, and reviewing dozens of productivity apps, so you don't have to. In this video, we're gonna set them all side by side, score them, and rank them, so stick till the end of the video to see who's the winner. I'm judging these apps based on 7 parameters, and aside from price, I'm scoring them all from 1 to 5. The first parameter is how well does an app support you with emptying your head. The second is how well an app enables you to create an intuitive structure as a true second brain. The third, can you clarify raw input you've captured into something tangible? Number 4, does an app actually support you in doing things? Number 5, does the app support you in maintaining a high level of productivity long term? How trustworthy is the company behind the app? Can you trust that your sensitive data is being kept securely? And lastly, what does it all cost? All these factors will be scored for, culminating in a final rating. In the interest of being unbiased, I'm going to go through all the tools I've reviewed in alphabetical order. If you want to skip to a tool that you're interested in, you can go to the video description and use a timestamp to navigate to that tool right away. And I've also got dedicated videos on each and every tool that I'll also link in the description. Let's hop into it. AirTable is a powerful database tool that you can turn into virtually anything. Emptying your head is not easy, but they do have a web clipper, so it gets 2 out of 5. Creating structure with various tables is decent and gets a 3 out of 5, as does going from raw to tangible with the flexibility you get as to what an item can be. With its filters, it's easy to zoom in on tasks you can do now and gets a 4 out of 5 for actually doing things. Maintaining productivity is not something I consider as easy with Airtable, as it's relatively clunky and involves a lot of maintenance, so it gets 2 out of 5. It's certainly a trustworthy tool, having been around for many years with lots of happy customers. Averaging out these scores against a price point of $10 per month, it gets a final score of 2.8. Pretty decent for a tool that is not primarily designed as a productivity app. Amazing Marvin stood out to me for its extreme customization options. You could spend days tweaking everything. Despite a rich feature set, when it comes to emptying your head, I was a bit underwhelmed. There's a quick add button and you can email into the tool, but that is about it, so it gets 2 out of 5. Creating structure, on the other hand, is very doable, as you get the freedom to create and structure lists flexibly, but it looks a bit messy, and this DIY approach also means you can break things. Nevertheless, it gets 4 points. Clarifying raw input into something meaningful, no matter what it is super doable, and so it gets 5 points. Advanced filters make focusing on what you can do now easy, but it takes a while to set up. 4 out of 5 points for actually doing things. I mentioned the extensive functionality and customizable feature set already, and it becomes relevant when considering maintaining productivity long term. Shiny object syndrome is a big risk here. There's always something new to tweak, and the risk of getting sucked in instead of actually doing things consistently is pretty high, so while it is powerful, I cannot give it more than 3 points. In terms of trustworthiness, the team behind Amazing Marvin is small but friendly and dedicated. Small also means fragile, but overall, I'd still give it 4 points for trustworthiness. Averaging it all out against a price point of $12 per month, it gets a final score of 3.2, a bit underwhelming for a tool with such potential. My tip, if you want to use it, watch my tutorial video, download my template, and stick with that to avoid overwhelm. AmpleNote came highly recommended by many of you, so this year I gave it a spin. Emptying your head into AmpleNote is possible through a unique daily jots approach, a web clipper, or social sharing, but I did not find it very intuitive, so I cannot give it more than 3 points. The same goes for creating structure. It is not super intuitive, but workable once you get the hang of it. 3 points as well. You get some advanced options for clarifying raw input into something tangible, but it's a bit overkill, so it gets 4 points. You're able to create context-based filters and time block for actually doing things. I'm giving it 4 points for that as well. With templates, routines, and a unique funnel approach to productivity, I'm giving AmpleNote 5 points for maintaining productivity, as it's easy to keep a bird's eye view of your system. In terms of trustworthiness, AmpleNote is a new but ambitious and transparent player in this space, and they've been responsive, so I'm giving them 4 points. Considering the price point of $6 monthly, it earns a solid final score of 4 out of 5. Any.Do is one of those tools that look great, but I'm just not feeling it. It has a web clipper and a quick add button for new tasks, but it is time-based and has no inbox to begin with, so I cannot give it more than 3 points for emptying your head. With workspaces, you can organize your system, but lists cannot be nested and have to be reconfigured per workspace, so it gets 3 points for creating structure as well. Going from raw to tangible is decent with tags, reminders, and notes, and gets 3 points as well. You can create pretty powerful time-based lists like a today view, but you cannot multi-select tags for things like a next action plus context approach, so it gets 3 points for actually doing things, as it does for maintaining productivity with its templates and a good design. Any.Do has a dedicated fan base, and it's been around for a long time, so it gets 5 points for trustworthiness. Averaging it all out against a price point of $6 per month, it gets a final score of 3.4 out of 5. Now going to the very first Apple-only entry on the list. AmpleNotes really impressed me as a productivity app. Emptying your head is great with multiple input methods and gets 4 points. Creating structure is possible with lists, but nothing special, and gets 3 points. Going from raw to tangible will require some workarounds as it doesn't support tasks, but with some reinterpretation or using it in conjunction with reminders, it is doable and gets 3 points. AmpleNote's filtering abilities surprise me and can make for some powerful, actionable lists, so it gets 3 points for actually doing things. Maintaining productivity is doable with its speed, overview with lists and templates, and gets 3 points. In terms of trustworthiness, well, it's Apple, so it gets 5 points. Given that it's free and primarily designed as a note taker, AmpleNotes is a great option as a personal productivity app on a low budget with 4.2 final points. Asana is one of my top favorite tools, with one significant drawback which I'll get to at the end. In terms of features, Asana is actually one of the most powerful productivity tools out there. I'm giving it full 5 points for emptying your head, creating structure, going from raw to tangible, actually doing things, and trustworthiness. With dedicated views designed to whatever something may be, like tasks, sequential projects, goals, and various reflection options, it's an amazing tool to work with. Maintaining productivity is the only thing that gets 4 points instead, as it has advanced stats, but they may be a bit overwhelming and confusing to some users. It really is an amazing tool, so you might be wondering, what's the catch? That is going to be its price point, which stands out significantly among any other player in this space, with around $30 per month for the full feature set. With that modifier considered, it ends up at a measly 2.8 score. But I would argue that if you have the funds, it's worth the investment, and I'm considering it as my new daily driver despite the price. ClickUp's tagline is one app to replace them all, and I always cringe at promises like this, but ClickUp is a tool that gets a lot of things right. Capturing into ClickUp for emptying your head is decent and gets 3 points. Creating structure as well as going from raw to tangible get the full 5 points, with flexibility to design your own workspaces and turn your inbox items into any kind of output. Tasks, notes, sequential projects, goals, and much more. Actually doing things and maintaining productivity both get a 3 out of 5 from me, as you're really sucked into the app, which I'm always a bit weary of. I just want to see what I can do now and get going, and minimize time spent in-app. For trustworthiness, however, ClickUp earns 5 points, as it's an established, serious player with a large team behind it and a network of consultants who help individuals and companies implement the tool. Such as Marvin, a certified GTD trainer who I interviewed last year, whose setup you can check out on my channel. With a price point of $9 monthly for key features, ClickUp earns a final score of 3.9 in my book. EverDo is the first entry on this list specifically designed for getting things done, or GTD for short, a powerful productivity method that is a key ingredient for my own system as well. Emptying your head is possible but not extensive and gets 3 points. creating structure gets 3 points, and going from raw to tangible gets 4, with extensive options for designing tasks and projects, but bare bones note functionality. Actually doing things also gets 4 points. It's simple but effective. This simplicity also helps with maintaining productivity, but more reviewing functionality wouldn't have hurt, so it gets 3 points for that. EverDo's pricing is unique in that you pay a one-time fee for lifetime access plus a monthly fee for syncing across devices, which I imagine most users will want to do, so I'm averaging that out to $3 monthly, earning it a final score of 3.1. Evernote used to be my main productivity app for a couple of years. It was the first tool I used with GTD and the first video I released on this channel. Unfortunately, in my opinion, Evernote's been going downhill for the past few years. However, its web clipper is still the best on the market. Combined with other capturing options, getting out of your head with Evernote is extremely easy, so it gets 5 points. With notebooks, nested tags, and dashboards, creating structure is also fantastic, 5 points as well. Going from raw to tangible used to be good, but Evernote's tasks feature is a flop and gets 3 points. Actually doing things is still doable with workarounds and reinterpretations, but Evernote's speed issue makes it a drag, which means I cannot give it more than 2 points for long-term productivity. Evernote is an established name, but it's sad to see how they're tarnishing their reputation with crappy updates. I hope they can turn things around. They have the manpower and skills, and I'm giving them 4 points for trustworthiness. With a monthly price of $8, it ends up at 3.4 points. The second GTD-specific app on this list, FacileThings, takes a bold approach by providing very little flexibility and instead guiding you through what they think is the right productivity app experience, which might be polarizing. You'll either love it or you won't want to use it at all. Emptying your head in FacileThings gets 3 points. The structure, while a matter of taste, is clear and gets 5 points with specifically created dashboards for all stages in the GTD process. The same goes for going from raw to tangible. Its wizard makes it super easy to clarify. Personally though, I found the app quite slow and wouldn't enjoy it as a support for actually doing things, for which it gets 3 points. Maintaining productivity, on the other hand, is good with reviewing functionality and gets 4 points. In terms of trustworthiness, FacileThings has a small team behind it, making it somewhat fragile and gets 3 points. With a price point of $12 per month, it earns a final score of 3.4. Google Sheets is basically a simpler version of AirTable. It is straightforward spreadsheet software, which means using it as a personal productivity tool is a stretch, though not impossible. Emptying your head into a spreadsheet is doable, but not extensive, and gets 1 point. Creating structure through tabs is actually good and gets 4 points. Clarifying input from the inbox requires a lot of manual input. Going from raw to tangible therefore gets 1 point, as does actually doing things. It is possible to create filters, but they are very DIY and fragile. Maintaining productivity gets 2 points, only because having it all in one spreadsheet makes it easy to generate a bird's eye view. Given that it's free, it ends up with 2.8 points, and it's an interesting choice for beginners without a budget. You can download my setup to get started with ease. The link's in the description. If I could give an award to the most underwhelming task manager, considering the potential development power it could receive, it would easily be Google Tasks. Its functionality is vastly limited. While emptying your head into it is doable, its options for structuring and clarifying are a joke. Actually doing things is halfway decent and gets 3 points, but maintaining productivity long term will require you to make a lot of sacrifices, and it gets 2 points. In terms of trustworthiness, it's Google, so it's probably secure enough, and it's free, which also lowers the bar. In the end, Google Tasks is a vastly limited, simple to-do list, so it doesn't get more than 3 points as a final score when upholding it to the standard of a full personal productivity system. MeisterTask is an interesting app that doesn't get talked about much, but deserves more credit, in my opinion. Emptying your head in there goes decently well, and I'm giving it 4 points in all other departments. It's a solid all-round experience, and if you're willing to spend $8.25 per month on it and use my templates, you're getting a productivity experience that I'm giving a final rating of 3.8. I used to hate on Microsoft To Do, but this year I've begun to appreciate it a bit more, especially after comparing it to Google Tasks. Its options for getting out of your head are pretty extensive and get 3 points. Structuring your system in MTD with folders is pretty straightforward and gets 3 points as well. Going from raw to tangible is nothing special though and gets 2 points. Actually doing things is possible with filters, although these have to be recreated each time, so I cannot give it more than 3 points here. Maintaining productivity gets 2 points, and again, since it's Microsoft, your data is probably secure enough and it gets 5 points for trustworthiness. With a cost of 0, it's a decent beginner option for Windows users at 3.6 points. Check out my tutorial or head-to-head comparison video with Google Tasks to get all the details. The last GTD-specific tool on this list, and definitely the best out of the 3 in my book, is Nirvana. In terms of its feature set, EverDo, which I mentioned earlier, seems to have cloned Nirvana, but Nirvana still executes a lot of it slightly better. It's been around for a long time, and while it is slow in its development, its longevity earns it 3 points for trustworthiness in my book, and with a price point of $5 per month, it ends up with a score of 3.7. Notion. Who doesn't know Notion? One of, if not the most popular productivity app out there. Super versatile, but not without flaws. Getting out of your head into Notion works quite well with Web Clipper and various other input methods and gets 4 points. Its customizable dashboards, pages, databases, and much more make the scoring really dependent on how you use it. But I'm giving it a 5 for structure, 3 for going from raw to tangible, 4 for actually doing things, but 2 for maintaining productivity, since it's known to be relatively slow, which will frustrate you long term. The team behind it is established and committed, so it gets 5 points for trustworthiness. With a price point of 5 per month, it ends up with a final score of 4.1. And I invite you to check out the Notion setups myself and others have built, which you can all find on this channel by navigating to my Notion playlist. Nozbe is, like Any.Do, one of those tools that I just cannot get into, even though it's not all bad. Emptying your head though gets 1 point. Creating structure gets 3, as does going from raw to tangible. Actually doing things gets 4 points. This is the most powerful aspect of the tool, as it allows you to view your tasks from multiple angles, including time-based. Maintaining productivity long term gets a 3 out of 5. The tool is fine, it has a built-in calendar and other helpful features, but nothing special. The company's been around for quite some time, but the tool still hasn't really managed to gain traction, which leads me to give it 3 points in terms of trustworthiness. With a price point of 10 per month, it gains a final score of 3. I will review it in more detail again next year though, since it has had quite some updates since I last checked it out in detail. Everything I just said about Nozbe, I could also say about NTask. It came to my attention after being listed with some powerhouses in various productivity app lists online, so I gave it a try. And while it can work, I just don't see myself using it personally. Its feature set is a bit worse than Nozbe, but it also comes at less than half the price, with $4 per month, also earning it a final score of 3. OmniFocus is another one of the Apple-only apps, and one I was super excited to try after I finally got my hands on a Mac this year. And while it is powerful in some respects, I expected a bit more when it comes to emptying your head, for which it gets 3 points. Creating a structure is decent thanks to its nested lists and gets 3 points. But where it truly stands out is going from raw to tangible, with detailed task properties but not too much, sequential project support, and action states. I had a lot of fun using it. This also makes actually doing things, both in the moment and long term with reviewing functionality, a productive experience, for which it gets 4 points. The tool has been around for a long time and it has a dedicated fan base, so it gets 5 points for trustworthiness. Offsetting this against a price of $10 per month, it earns 3.8 points as a final score. Remember the Milk is one of the tools on this list that I am least excited about. Its layout looks like it's stuck in 2005 and requires a lot of reinterpreting to work as a more advanced system. I'm giving it a score of 2 for every dimension and a 3 for trustworthiness, as it's at least been around for a long time. With a monthly price of around $3, it earns a final score of 2.3. Like ClickUp, Taskade is a powerful all-in-one tool that gets a lot of things right. It especially stands out in the creating structure and going from raw to tangible departments, for both of which it gets 5 points. With a price point of 5 per month, it earns a great final score of 4.3. I'm gonna have to check it out again soon, as they've been updating the product significantly since I last took a deep dive look at it. The final Apple-only entry on this list, Things 3. Overall, I would rank Things 3 as solid across the board, with some flaws. You've got some good options for emptying your head with a quick add button, widgets, and a web clipper, among others, so it gets 4 points for that. Areas, lists, and checklists allow you to structure your system decently well, for which it gets 3 points. And the same goes for going from raw to tangible with nested tags and task associations. Actually doing things with context-based filters works well. 4 points, but looking back on what you've done is a bit difficult with a limited activity log. Since it's a well-designed app though, with a clear overview, maintaining productivity won't be too difficult and it gets 3 points. Things 3 is an established player, 4 points for trustworthiness. In terms of pricing, you'll actually have to pay separately per device you'll want to use it on. However, this is a one-time fee. Over the first year, you're looking at an average quote-unquote monthly pricing of about $5 monthly, giving it a final rating of 3.7. If you've been following me before seeing this video, you'll know that I love TickTick and it's been my daily driver in 2022. Its captioning options on both desktop and mobile are extremely varied and they enable you to empty your head with ease, earning it 5 points for emptying your head. Separate views for tasks, habits, the calendar, and prioritizing make creating structure easy, but I hate how they don't support nested lists. 4 points. Going from raw to tangible generally works well as it supports Markdown, tags, time associations, notes, and much more. But it can be a bit clunky, especially when moving items to a section of an existing list. Actually doing things is a great experience with TickTick thanks to its filters that you can create, pin, and start assisted focus sessions with. So it gets 5 points for that. And the same goes for maintaining productivity, which is something I've been able to see firsthand as a user. 5 points as well. The big problem with TickTick is with its trustworthiness. I haven't run into any serious issues or anything, but they are pretty secretive about who they are as a company, and customer support has not been great. Again, fortunately, I haven't needed it, so I'm still using it, but I would love to see more transparency and active communication. 3 points. The price point of 2.7 per month is ridiculously low for so much value, earning TickTick a massive rating of 4.9 in the end. I've documented my entire TickTick workflow in the TickTick Power User course, which you can enroll in via my website. Todoist was my daily driver for a couple of years until TickTick. I still love it, and I think it's the best in the game in some departments, like user experience design. Emptying your head works similarly well as with TickTick and gets 5 points. Creating structure is a dream with nested lists and gets 5 points as well. Going from raw to tangible is Todoist's weak spot. While it certainly works great with to-dos, creating notes or other non-actionable items is a stretch, so it gets 3 points here. On the other hand, filters enable you to do things extremely efficiently, for which it gets 5 points. Add to that 4 points for maintaining productivity long term, a super reliable team behind them, and a price point of $5 per month, Todoist earns itself a 4.9 rating. Trello's story is somewhat similar to Asana here. Incredible feature set, but a high price point to get it. Definitely worth the investment if you have the funds though, as its boards, automations, and design offer a fantastic experience that'll keep you productive long term. Its price point of $20 per month for the tool plus an add-on for automations keeps it at a 3.4 rating, but I highly recommend checking out my tutorial video where I explain how to set it all up so you can make up your mind about investing in it. The final entry on this list is WorkFlowy, which is a minimalist tool that really surprised me. While emptying your head into the tool is a bit limited and gets 2 points, its node approach makes creating a structure fun, easy, and effective. 5 points. Going from raw to tangible is very doable too, as is actually doing things with saved searches. Maintaining productivity gets 5 points from me thanks to its multiple views that look beautiful and engaging. Coupled with a price point of $5 per month, it ends up at a solid 4.1 rating. Now that we've looked at every tool It is time for what you're all here for. Out of all these tools, which one is the winner? Like last year, TickTick takes the crown. I've been using it myself, and thousands of people have let me know how much it's helped them after seeing my free YouTube guides on it, enrolled in a course, or taken on a one-on-one coaching session for implementing it. Having said that, it is not the only one, and if price wouldn't play a role, Asana, Trello, Todoist, ClickUp, and various other tools actually exceed TickTick or come super close to it. In the end though, all this is my opinion, and while there's tons of research backing it up, what's most important is that you find a tool that works best for you and your work style. That is why if you're currently orienting yourself, I do recommend starting with my top ratings, but give the lower rated tools a chance as well. It may just be the perfect fit for you. If you're looking for any more help with finding and implementing productivity tech to suit your work style, you can book me for a consulting session where we'll walk through your productivity challenges and build a tool set that best supports it. And with that, I want to leave you all with a final message of this year, which is to say thank you. Thank you for all the support you've given to this channel. The response to my videos has been incredible. I've been able to grow this channel tremendously and actually turn it into a business doing what I love doing the most, which is helping people unlock their creative and productive potential by teaching them how to implement technology in the way that works best for them. Rest assured, I've got a lot left to learn in this area, in this field, and I hope you're excited to learn along with me. I'm definitely committed to providing you with more helpful resources like this in the coming year and beyond. So thanks for watching. Leave any questions you have in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.